everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd do a little video about my experience with permanent hair straightening. So to give you a little background, so I'm biracial, so I'm part black, part white. I have really curly hair naturally. It's pretty dry, as you know, you typically will get with curly hair, but it's not super coarse. So like lots of people, I don't like my hair curly. I wish it was straight, and I know people with straight hair wish it was curly. So I've been straightening my hair for a long time, probably since junior high, and I'm 27 now, so it's been years and years that I've been straightening my hair, like all the way back to when I was first straightening with an actual iron. I would take, you know, a towel, put it on my bed, like take my brush out and literally iron my hair straight. I remember burning my head so many times trying to get it like close to my roots. Anyways, it was a nightmare. I eventually, you know, bought a straightener and was straightening my hair that way. But for me, it's a pretty long process. So after I wash my hair, I let it air dry about 75%. I figured out that, you know, if I let it dry all the way, just by air drying, I don't get as good of a result for some reason when I straighten it. But obviously I don't want to blow dry my hair from when it's very wet, because it's just extra heat and damage that I don't need to do to it. So I also make sure that when I'm blow drying it with a brush and trying to help do some of the straightening in that process. If you don't blow dry your hair with a brush and you're just kind of using your hands, start using a brush, because it really decreases the amount of time that you spend straightening, and it just helps. Like if you're already going to put that heat on your hair, like use a brush and start doing some of the straightening process at that time. So anyway, so after I would have it dry and I'd go in and straighten, it would take about 45 minutes for me to straighten my hair, which is like a long time. So the whole process is like, you know, like almost an hour, hour and a half really, because, you know, by the time I'm letting it dry and then I'm blow drying, which takes about, you know, 10-15 minutes or so. My hair likes to hold on to water, so it takes a really long time to dry. So that's why it takes so long. So anyways, I started doing some researching into permanent hair straightening, and it kind of scared me for a long time because I was so worried that it would damage my hair so much and I would get a lot of breakage. Now, I don't do a lot of like chemical dye damage to my hair. I remember when I was younger, I would dye it a little bit darker every now and again. And you know, I've had highlights a few times, but I'm not regularly dyeing my hair or anything like that. But just from, you know, always using a lot of heat products on my hair, it is dry. I also don't love to cut it a lot, so I'll go like a year and a half without trimming my hair or anything like that. So I don't have the healthiest hair to begin with, and it's already really naturally dry from being curly and just the way it is. So I was so scared about the damage. But so I did some research. When did I have it done? Last May is when I got my hair permanently straightened. So I did some research online into the different methods that they can use, how damaging it is, what's the price point for it, and I basically found out there's kind of three options that you have. So you can, you know, do relaxers that you get out of a box. I don't really suggest those because it's something that really can damage your hair, so you should probably leave that kind of stuff to the professionals. I did do one when I was younger, and it like didn't work at all. Like I noticed zero difference, so I knew I didn't want to go that route again. When it comes to your options for kind of permanently straightening your hair, you don't have a lot of options really. So you can do like keratin hair treatments, which aren't permanent, they're semi-permanent. It kind of will depend person to person how long it lasts in your hair. It can be weeks to months, and it won't necessarily make your hair pin straight, but it'll reduce a lot of the curl and a lot of the frizz and make your hair generally look healthier and straighter, but it's not for a permanent straightening solution per se. And then you can have thermal ionic straightening, which is permanent, and that is what I had done. So when you're doing your research looking for a salon, make sure you don't go with necessarily the cheaper one. because there are a lot of salons that'll take shortcuts and use, certain damaging products like formaldehyde and stuff like that, which will help straighten your hair, but you'll get a lot of damage in the process. So I ended up finding a salon that was kind of middle of the road. They only have a couple girls there who are trained to do the thermal ionic straightening. So, they do all the cases that come in there, so they're fairly well experienced. And I got mine done at a place called Kara's in Halifax there. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit how the process goes. So you go in for a consultation, she takes a look at your hair. Not everybody can do this. If you've got a lot of damage to your hair, especially from chemical dyes, like if you've been bleaching your hair for a long time or just dyeing it constantly and finding that it's really damaged, they won't accept you. Like, you have to have fairly healthy hair to do this process, because you do get some damage to your hair, and they don't want it all breaking off or anything like that. So she took a look at my hair and said that I was totally good to go. I had a little bit of damage, but she would just trim my hair during the process, and I should be fine. So then I came back a few weeks later once I got my appointment. And the whole thing is about like a 3-hour process or so. So the first thing that they do, you come in, she washed my hair, shampooed it to make sure that there wasn't any product or any residue or anything that was in my hair that would affect the chemicals. And then the next thing they do is they blow dry it and straighten your hair really, really well to exactly how you would want the finished product to look. So they're really diligent in straightening it really well. And then once it's perfectly straight, they'll go in and use the chemicals that will keep your hair straight. It's almost like a reverse perm. So, you curl your hair, you put the product in, and then it stays curly even when you wash it. Well, this is the opposite. I'm going from curly to straight, and then when I wash it, it hopefully stays straight afterwards. So when you're straightening or curling your hair, it's all about denaturing the proteins in your hair. That's what keeps your hair curly versus straight. So even when you straighten it, just like with a flat iron, you're temporarily denaturing those proteins. But when you wash it, that kind of reverses the process. The proteins become renatured or go back into their original state, and that's why your hair will go curly. So this process uses chemicals that permanently denature those proteins so that your hair will stay straight. So once they've got the chemicals all in, it smells awful, and you keep it in your hair for about 20-30 minutes or so, I think it was, and then you go back to the sink and you wash it all out again, and then she blow dries it and re-flat irons it. And hopefully your hair is, stays straight, and that's the whole process. So it's a 3-hour process, but it's not a complicated process really. It's basically what takes the most time is the blow drying and the straightening of your hair, and you're also getting it washed twice. So the idea is that your hair that was, had the procedure done is supposed to stay straight, and you would only have to go in for touch-ups every once in a while when your roots started growing out, because obviously your roots weren't treated and they would be curly. But really, when you think about how much of your hair is growing, you probably only have to go for a touch-up once a year or so. And I would say for the first month or so, my hair did stay really straight. So when I got out of the shower, it was so weird because usually my hair is so curly, and it would look so strange just like sitting straight when it was wet. I'd blow dry it, spend about maybe 10 minutes or so straightening it, and then I was good to go. But then I felt like it started to gradually fade after about a month, and I was starting to spend more and more time having to straighten. And I was noticing it was getting, curlier and curlier after I was showering. And it wasn't totally surprising for me, because I remember when I dyed my hair in the past at home, I would always use permanent hair dye, but it would fade out of my hair within a month or two. And then I would be, well, maybe not a month or two, maybe like 2 or 3 months, it would start fading out of my hair, and then it would almost be like I never dyed my hair. Like I never had to re-dye my hair to, get rid of a color that I had dyed it. It would always just kind of gradually fade out. I think that's just you know, something that is just part of my hair, and I noticed that it was happening to my permanent straightening. So I had this done in May, I think. It's January now, and I think it's basically all faded out of my hair. I think my hair is almost as curly as it used to be, and I'm back up to spending about, still maybe a little bit less, but probably about 30 to 35 minutes straightening my hair. So in my opinion, was it worth it? No. Am I glad I tried it? Yeah, because, you know, I'm one of those people that is totally willing to try something just to see if it works. If it doesn't, I'm not going to get too upset about it. You know, I just won't do it again. But I always would have been wondering, like, man, I wonder if I had ever straightened my hair, whether, you know, it would have been awesome and all this stuff. So for me, it won't be something that I go and do again, because I don't want to inflict more damage on my hair for something that was so fleeting. It lasted about a month or so maybe. And so here I am back to straightening my hair all the time. So that was my experience with my permanent hair straightening. It was short-lived. Don't take my experience as like what will happen to you, because everybody's different. I have a feeling that if you had less curly hair, not as coarse and kind of resistant to straightening, it would probably last longer and you could have great results. But for me, my hair has this tendency to just fade products out, and that seemed to be what happened in this case. So for me, it was not worth it. But anyways, I hope you guys learned something today. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!